Let's face it, overcoming your vice and being a man of virtue seems like an impossible hill to climb. How many times have you agonized over your sin, your shortcomings, your faults? You know that without improving as a man, your family and your soul are at risk. When our ancestors braved the wilderness and the unknown to bring the faith to our land, they could only do so because they were heroic. It is time to reclaim that heroism. It is time to reclaim traditional Catholic masculinity. Let's do something about it. Click the link in the description to be part of the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. Reclaim. Welcome to the Kennedy Report. I'm Kennedy Hall. Archbishop Vigano has rebuked Donald Trump. He's been very supportive of Donald Trump over the years, of course, as many of us have, but he has rebuked him strongly in a letter about a recent gathering for the, I think that's called Log Cabin Republicans. And we're going to get to that here. First, like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the links in the description, click the thumbs up button, the notification bell. You've watched and listened to 1,000 YouTube videos and podcasts and so on and so forth. You know exactly what to do. Also, don't be afraid to come to Canada during the coldest month of the year. Many of you who watch this are within driving distance. Accommodations are very affordable. Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference, first annual, first of many, hopefully. And the link for that is in the description. So let's see what he has to say. Archbishop Vigano, Trump's endorsement of pro-LGBT Republicans is a grave mistake. This article is at LifeSite News. You can also find it at Catholic Family News. My friend Matt Gasper is there, shared it with me. Here you go. This is from Vigano. A large scandal has been created as well as discouragement upon learning the news of the gala event hosted by President Donald J. Trump. For openly homosexual supporters of the Republican Party, this endorsement of LGBT ideology is even more serious if one considers that only 2 days previously, Joe Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act, which recognizes the legal validity of so-called homosexual marriage in the United States, in violation of the natural law and also the law of God. The Democratic Party is totally anti-Christian and obstinately determined to implement the globalist agenda of the New World Order. On the other hand, the Republican Party is recklessly pursuing a minority of voters who are indulging in lifestyles that are contrary to the commandments and to the common good. American Catholics find themselves today in the impossible situation of being represented by a political class that is revealing itself to be completely incapable of representing and expressing Catholic convictions in moral and religious matters. This causes voters to become disaffected, which is added to electoral fraud and scandals that are emerging about media censorship and the manipulation of electoral consensus. Up until now, certain aspects of the political platform of the Republican Party were able to be overlooked to some extent due to the much more serious threat embodied by the Democratic Party. But it is now evident that the action of the deep state has contaminated the entire political elite without distinction, even involving Donald Trump, who up until now seemed to be a source of hope for the future of the United States. A nation that offends the law of God cannot hope to be blessed by the Lord, and those who support sinful lifestyles ought to think of the judgment that awaits them rather than pleasing those who are corrupt in a calculated effort to win votes. This nonchalance and political action by Republicans is no less harmful than the open opposition to the the perennial magisterium of the Church on the part of the Democrats. I urge American Catholics to pray, asking the Lord to enlighten politicians of sound principles, urging them to fight with courageous commitment for the defense of the natural law and the commandments of God. Carlo Maria Vigano, Archbishop, former Apostolic Nuncio to the United States of America, December 20th, 2022. So, Archbishop Vigano has rebuked Donald Trump. This is not surprising. He does bring up an interesting point. Should we as Catholics overlook certain deficiencies in political platforms in order to sort of fight for what is the best option? Of course we should. I mean, that's a fact of reason. It's not really a doctrine. It's just, it's impossible in today's political climate to find a party or a personality or so forth who is completely adequate as far as the doctrines of the church And even amongst those who would be Christians and Catholics in the political life, you know, they may just simply be gravely incorrect about something like economics, for example, or the formulation of bureaucracy. I mean, you know, Catholics can disagree on basic matters of things like, you know, should there be a minimum wage? I think minimum wage, for example, is egregious. I think it's one of the most terrible things that could ever happen to an economy. Excuse me. However, it may be that there's a very strong Christian candidate who is great on morals, you know, great on patriotism and all these things that are good for a country, but at the same time, you know, wants to strengthen the minimum wage because he's under some idea that it's good to have it. You know, I would think that's a grave error because I think the consequences can be pretty dire to an economy from that sort of thing. However, I would say that that candidate is, you know, is good to vote for. This is a little bit different issue, but what I'm trying to get at here, excuse me, is that in this battle for the culture, in this battle for the soul of a country, you do have to make decisions about who you're going to ally with. You know, an analogy I like to use about politics all the time is that politics is like football. We have a goal line. They have a goal line. We want to march the ball down the field. The analogy is a little bit funny. It's an eternal battle. It's not like the game ends and there's, you know, tomorrow it's over and we never get to play again. It's sort of like an ongoing game that happens forever. But right now, in some ways, you know, Christians are in some areas of society kind of just like in a continual goal line stand, if you know football. You know, we're on our goal line and they've got more players on the field than they should because they don't follow the rules. They're all juiced up on steroids because the referees don't enforce the rules. We're not getting calls and we're just sort of on the goal line and we are following the rules. We're doing our best to follow the rules. So we're not juicing. We're not having extra players on the field. We're not, you know, doing dirty plays. And it's almost impossible to beat somebody who cheats if they're not going to enforce the rules. So what do? So on our team, you know, you make a decision. It's like, you know, that quarterback's pretty good, but he does throw a lot of interceptions. But is he better than not? You know, the guy beside me who's on the defensive line, he doesn't have a great personal life. I don't really expect all of his morals, but for some reason, he's willing to go after the enemy with me and do whatever it takes, you know, and you know, so it's just, these are decisions you always have to make in politics. Your teammates, in pursuit of the common good, in pursuit of the you know, the righteous laws that a society should have. This is a difficult reality. And Donald Trump has had his mistakes for sure. And it looks like Archbishop Vigano is finally sort of bringing up one of the glaring ones that he seems to not have been talking about for a while, for whatever reason. So interesting. It'll be interesting to see if this even does anything for Trump. I doubt it will. I don't think he'll probably listen. It'll be interesting to see if Vigano throws his support behind another candidate when the primaries take place. So all very fascinating. All right. One way to fix things in the church and society is to go to the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. The link for that is in the description. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the thumbs up button, click the notification bell, I think I already said the thumbs up. Anyway, and subscribe to the channel. That's a good way to help. And enjoy this trailer for the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. Hopefully we see you there in February. This has been the Kennedy Report. Until next time, God bless. Let's face it, overcoming your vice and being a man of virtue seems like an impossible hill to climb. How many times have you agonized over your sin, your shortcomings, your faults? You know that without improving as a man, your family and your soul are at risk. When our ancestors braved the wilderness and the unknown to bring the faith to our land, they could only do so because they were heroic. It is time to reclaim that heroism. It is time to reclaim traditional Catholic masculinity. Let's do something about it. Click the link in the description to be part of the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. Reclaim.